Okay, let's continue with the next problem. In this problem, we have a Java ArrayList problem, okay, from HackerRank. Sometimes it's better to use dynamic size arrays. Java ArrayList can provide you this feature. Try to solve the problem using arrays, okay? You are given n lines. In each line, there are 0 or more integers. You need to answer a few queries where you need to tell the number located right position of or x line. Right position of x line. So that means I think we will have array lists inside it. We will again have another array list, which will be two-dimensional array list. Okay, I understand this from this sentence. I think let's continue from the system in. Okay, the first line has an integer n. In each of the next n lines, there will be an integer d. Okay, let's continue writing. We will have an input system in. From a scanner class, we will get an instance of scanner class, and we will make it system in dot scan. The first line has an integer n. Let's check out this part. Our input format is n is the integer. Okay. So let's get the integer n equals to from scanner class next integer. Okay, then lines there will be an integer d denoting the number of integers on the last line, and then there will be these spaced separated integers. Okay, let's try to understand this part. After this, we have 6 elements. This part is not going to represent this. I think those are array lists. We are going to add into array list, two-dimensional array list. So each number will fit inside integers. These separate integers. In the next line, there will be an integer q denoting the number of queries. Each query will consist of two integers x and y. So x and y, I think those are the x and y, and those are the queries actually we are going to search for. Q is denoting this one is a q, I think. So therefore, this part is going to be creating our two-dimensional array. And one thing I didn't understand is that why is there 6 elements? Well, okay. There's a 5 elements, and this one is representing the how many elements should be add into the array list. Okay. Each one represents the first dimensional array, but when we add all of them, they will be creating this two-dimensional array. So therefore, we are going to let's create our first array list. Okay, yes, we can use the list interface for this part. In order to give the type, we can use the interface called list integer. What can we call? Let's call this a line list. Okay, line of list. List of line or okay, list of line. So that we can understand more clearly. Let's create an object or an instance of ArrayList. Okay, after we getting the integers, which means how many times we are going to add two-dimensional arrays or lists, we are going to use a for loop for this. Okay, for integer I. Let's start from 0 until I is smaller than n, but not equal to n, and I will be increasing order. And after this part, we need to ask from the user how many elements we are going to put in the first dimension of array. Okay, for example, for this part we are going to add 5 elements. For this part we are going to add only 1 element. For this part there will be 4 elements. Okay, that's the logic behind this. Then let's ask from user an element for trying to give from terminal. Okay, let's ask for integer. Let's call this d. Okay, because it was saying this. Let's call d, denoting the number of ArrayList. Okay, d is equal to from scanner class next integer. And after that, in order to create the first dimension of ArrayList, I'm going to create another one-dimensional ArrayList. But let's first make this part. Let's make this list two-dimensional ArrayList, right? So, okay, let's call this integer type, and we can give a variable name of line. Okay, each line. So let's create an array list instance. I hope there is no any spelling or syntax error. Okay, let's continue. After we get the number of d, which represents this first element, this first inputs of the array list, which represents how many elements we are going to add into the first dimension of array. Okay. Therefore, we are going to use a for loop again. In this for loop, let's give an j at 0, and this j should be smaller than d. And this j is going to be increasing order. After that, we are going to ask from the user to add the elements of the array list. So we can call this a value variable name, which is a local variable name. Okay. So from scanner class, we are going to need integer, next integer method again. And after that, we are going to add the value into the line, first dimension of array list. So we are going to call the add method, and we are going to give the parameter of the value. Okay. So after this for loop ends, this part ends, all the inputs are given until now, right? Okay, all the lines are created. However, those are just one-dimensional array having created, right? So at the end, we need to at this line or at this array list, or this one, the 5 array list line, which is called line here, right? We are going to add this into the second dimension of array. So we will get a two-dimensional array. Okay. So therefore, we are going to call list of line dot add method, and we are going to pass the line list. Okay. So after this, we get a two-dimensional array. Okay. After this for loop, we need to provide the queries. So as this mentioned, Q denoting the number of queries. So this 5 is the query number, and 5 times it asks from the user X and Y position what is the output format. In each line output the number located in Y position, and no such position, just print error. If no such position, okay. If at 1 X and Y, if at X equals 1 and Y equals to 3, there is a number, you should print it. As this show again, in this explanation we can see it better. If queries in 1 and 3, in line 1 and at 3 there is a number, we will write the number. But otherwise, if at 4, for example, at 4 line 4, in the second dimension, there is no number. Therefore, at 3 there will be no number. Therefore, it will give an error. Okay, because it exceeds the limits of the array list. So at first we need to get query number. So we are going to give a q as variable name, and we are going to call a next integer method from scanner class, and again we are going to get into a for loop, and in this for loop let's initialize I equals at 0, and I should be smaller than q. I should be increasing order, and after that we need to ask from the user the queries, right? For example, position of X should be equal to what? From in next integer, and we need Y dimension from in dot next integer. Okay, so X represents the second dimension actually. Y represents the no, Y represents the second dimension. This one is Y, this one is X, I think, right? Y and X. X is this, Y is this. So therefore, this is Y, this is Y, and this is X, right? At first, it should ask from the user the Y, and then it should ask for X, value X. Okay. So if the value of X, actually at first we need to check for Y, right? Which is this part. If Y is greater and equal to this is okay, list of, if it is greater than list of line, it should return okay. At first we need to check for the Y dimension, right? If is there any line of 4 or 6, you need to check this, right? Therefore we need to look at the size of list of line, which is the second dimension. List of line dot size, right? if y is greater than and equal to list of line, then we need to get the number. But before this, we need to do we have to print anything other than this one? No. Okay. So do we have to do anything else if so let's continue it. After we check the second dimension, I mean y is the is if it exists, then we need to check another aspect. We need to check the x, right? If there is any uh, x value in the line, right? For example, is there any 3 queries 3 of at line 1? Yes, but at 6 there is no number. Therefore, we need to check if x is greater and equal to a list of line dot get which element we need to get the y element, right? But y element, let's say if the y element is 3 in this in the array lists logic, we start from 0. Therefore, we need to make this y minus 1, right? And we need to get the size of the specific line of array list. Let's copy this part and let's make that equal to another array list because it looks more complicated, right? We can call this current line and let it be equal to this part. And we can call current line here. Okay. There's no problem, I think. Let's continue. If x exists again, the system will print out println print out the number. Which how can we get the number from the system is from current line we need to get the element of x, right? That's it. However, if there is no x element, we need to print out print ln. We need to print out error. And here as again, if y is not exist, we need to print out y is not so exist, therefore we need to print out error. That's out print an error. Okay, is there anything else? No, I think that's it. Okay, let's run the code. There's an error. What is it? Index 5 out of bounds for length 3. 36, 926. So x, because this list starts from 0, we need to make this part -1, right? No, actually y is not. No, okay. I understand the problem. Y should be smaller than the list of line, right? If otherwise it was going to be giving an error. So therefore it should be smaller than the x, right? Let me explain it here again. The list must be smaller than y. The list of the size of list must be greater than y, because we are representing the here we are representing the try to represent the number of queries we are going to get, right? Therefore, we have to give a correct queries number so that we can get an element from the array list. Okay, let's submit the code. Perfect. All tests are passed correctly. Good.